We are all co-authors of this dancing exuberance, where even our inabilities are having a roast. We are the authors of ourselves, co-authoring a gigantic Dostoevsky novel starring...
What do you think is the biggest problem that we've got to worry about?
The fact that people actually believe the myth that they can hand authority over to somebody else. And I think at the root of it, that's what it all, personally, I think that's the biggest problem, is this myth of authority. That you can actually, you know, delegate authority out to somebody else to tell you what you should and shouldn't do.
What do you think the biggest problem is that we face?
In America, or in the world.
Whatever you'd like to talk about.
There's a lot. Probably, definitely in America, income inequality, and injustice. Just things like that.
Capitalism, teaching people that it's a dog-eat-dog, cutthroat world, and you have to hurt somebody in order to get ahead, that you need to be greedy, that people are naturally greedy. I think that's really one of our biggest things, is capitalism, somebody willing to step on somebody smaller than them in order to get ahead and not caring about what is good for overall humanity. I think that's our biggest problem.
Rebellion against the Lord God Almighty. Rebellion.
Our biggest problem is that corporations are running our government, and that it's Congress for hire rather than Congress for the people that elect them. And Congress spends all their time trying to get re-elected rather than solving problems and supporting the people that elected them.
Our biggest problems are definitely something we talked about earlier, which is greed. Also the mass media is another big problem, because it influences a lot of people against their will on certain things. And
our biggest problem is greed. Next one.
Our biggest problems that we face are issues of cohesion, compassion, and our relationship with power and privilege.
What do you think the biggest problem is?
The biggest problem is personal responsibility.
The biggest problem we face is that we were promised the pursuit of happiness. I think at this point, even pursuing it has become an unattainable thing to do.
What do you think the biggest problem is that we face?
In this nation, I believe it's the corrupting influence of money in our politics. I believe our politicians are bought and paid for, and they do not work for people. And they spend their time begging donors for money and not worrying about what the constituents want.
Our as in the world, or our as in Occupy?
However you want to put it.
The biggest problem in the world would be probably either nescience or ignorance, depending on your point of view, because because through wisdom you can find your way through any problem. But essentially, really, what you really would need in that case is imagination, because if you can't imagine your way to a solution to a problem, you'll never find a solution to that problem, which is why the Prussian generals and things called imagination the demon imagination, that's the thing that needs to be removed from people, because if they have any control of the imagination and they also have critical thinking skills, they really can't be stopped. Propaganda is not going to work on you, and you're not going to be patriotic, and you're not going to just die for your country. You might actually, if you're being attacked, you might actually like pick up your family and leave, which you'd think people would normally do, but not if God says not to. So